Welcome to the Grade Makeover Kitchen Audit. I am your master auditor, and today we are tearing down, inspecting, and completely rebuilding your approach to Cambridge AS and A-level accounting. Specifically, we are shining a harsh, unforgiving spotlight on the Computerized Accounting Systems module, zeroing in on data security. Listen, if you are preparing for your exams across the Cambridge IGCSE, O, AS, or A-level tracks, you already know this syllabus doesn't mess around. It is a highly rigorous, demanding recipe. But we've spent countless hours auditing the core theoretical foundations, the exact technical methodologies, and the deepest, most critical examiner insights to bring you this ultimate explainer of the source material. We are going to look at the raw essay text, we are going to look at the Michelin Assessment Objective Dashboard, and we are going to unpack the absolute perfection the examiners demand to see plated up on your exam paper. So put your aprons on, it's time to cook. Look at this number right here, 15%. Now, what is so incredibly critical about this specific figure is that this single topic, computerized accounting systems and data security, makes up roughly 15% of the total available marks in your Paper 2 exam. Think about that for a second. That is a massive, heavy chunk of your final grade. In kitchen terms, this isn't just a side salad or a quick garnish. This is the main protein of your entire exam. If you undercook this, your whole dish goes back to the kitchen, and your final score takes a fatal hit. It is a foundational pillar. But here is the good news. Understanding exactly how to navigate these data security questions is an unbelievable opportunity. It is a guaranteed way to secure high-yield marks, provided you understand the precise, step-by-step prep work the examiners are actively hunting for. So here is the exact menu we are working through today to capture every single one of those marks. We're starting with a 15% opportunity, moving into decoding the core principles, and then breaking down the execution methodology. After that, we'll expose the top 3 examiner traps, look at exactly how to score those high-tier evaluative marks, and wrap up with the final exam takeaways. Let's get right into it. Let's start the clock and dive into Section 1. This is all about securing your method marks. Now, understanding how the grading actually functions in the examiner's kitchen is a massive unfair advantage. I see so many apprentices completely fall apart when they face the multi-stage analysis required for data security. They serve up a sour, disjointed string of responses because they don't understand how the marks are actually distributed on the page. They think it's all about the final number, but they are dead wrong. Here is the absolute crux of the matter. You need to entirely shift your mindset from obsessing over getting the perfect final answer to actively, clearly proving your logical journey to the examiner. We call this the method mark strategy. Think of it like this. I am the master auditor standing at the pass. I don't just want to see the final plated dish. I want to see your knife skills. I want to see your prep work. Marks are awarded for correctly demonstrating a systematic analytical process. Let's say you make a tiny, careless calculation error right at the very end. If your method is systematically sound and your logic string is written out clearly on the page, the examiner is still going to flood your paper with marks. The process is the product. If you don't show the process, your answer tastes sour and you get nothing.
Let's move to Section 2, decoding the foundations. This is the foundational architecture, the ultimate flavor profile that Cambridge strictly expects candidates to master. This is what separates a beautifully crafted Michelin star response from a sloppy average one.
Let me tell you a story about 2 apprentices I was auditing in the workshop today, Alex and Sam. Now, Alex is the kind of cook who desperately overcomplicates the recipe. I looked at Alex's paper, and it was highlighted in harsh red ink everywhere. Why? Because Alex just dumped a massive pile of raw, unanalyzed factual definitions onto the page. Passwords, firewalls, encryption. Just a superficial breath of raw ingredients hoping something would taste good. But the assessment framework prioritizes logical, structured reasoning. I told Alex, you cannot just throw raw facts at the examiner. You have to cook them down into clear causal relationships. You need precise definitions, yes, but you must show how one thing affects another. Meanwhile, principal examiner reports constantly highlight that top-tier students integrate data security with other syllabus areas. You have to blend those cross-topic connections perfectly to show a deep conceptual mastery. So, how do we actually execute this under the intense heat and pressure of exam day? How do we take those raw ingredients and process them flawlessly? Let's get into Section 3, the standardized sequence. This is your ultimate kitchen recipe. To process complex data security problems, you must follow this standardized, rigorous 6-step procedural sequence. Do not deviate from this. First, You deconstruct the question. You are looking for the exact command words. They are the core seasoning of your essay. Miss the command word and you instantly lose 60% of the available mark yield. Second, extract the relevant data from the raw materials provided. Third, select your analytical framework. Fourth, execute with clear, undeniable notation. Fifth, verify your results. And finally, step 6, present it on the plate using the correct, precise accounting terminology. If you follow this exact sequence every single time you sit down to write, you build an ironclad safety net that catches every possible method mark. I wanted to aggressively zoom in on steps 4 and 6 for a moment, because this is where my other apprentice, Sam, completely fell apart today. Sam is a fast cook. Sam rushes the preparation. Sam created a beautiful sentence presentation at the end, but entirely forgot to show the clear notation and workings during execution. If you skipped showing your clear working or you ignore the final presentation format, you are literally sweeping guaranteed method marks right into the trash. It drives an examiner absolutely crazy to see a candidate who clearly understands the data security theory but loses an entire grade boundary simply because they didn't format their final answer with the right terminology. Don't be like Sam. Slow down, control the heat, and show your work. Kitchen freeze, look right at me. Before we unlock this next 5-star paragraph structure to completely transform your final grades, we need to optimize your revision recipe. Take a second right now to subscribe to Ace the Exams at the handle Ace the Exams, and hit that notification bell so you never ever miss our weekly grade makeovers. Whether you are cooking up results at IGCSE, O-levels, or AS and A-levels, we have the precise formulas you need. Okay, let's get back to the past. Let's look at section 4, the top 3 examiner traps, pulled straight from the bitter, critical depths of the examiner reports. Even with a solid framework, candidates constantly swallow these poisoned ingredients. Let me highlight these discrepancies for you. Trap number 1, using the wrong approach for the wrong context. This is like trying to bake a cake in a frying pan. You memorize a beautiful essay response at home, and you blindly force it into an exam question where it completely doesn't belong. Trap number 2, forgetting to check your format and presentation, which we just tore into Sam for doing. But Trap number three is the absolute worst offender. It's providing answers that are entirely disconnected from the specific context of the stimulus case study. Listen to this direct examiner quote. The classic mistake is providing generic answers not specific to the question context. This alert is absolutely vital. If you're sitting in the exam hall and you write a grammatically flawless, beautifully structured paragraph about data security, but you never actually reference the specific business, the specific software system, or the exact cyber threat mentioned in the prompt, it is worthless. A beautifully written, generic answer will not earn you top marks. You are serving the examiner a bland, microwaved meal when they asked for a bespoke, context-driven dish. You absolutely must link every single analytical point directly back to the given scenario. So how do we transcend the average? How do we push those assessment objective meters into the green and reach the absolute top tier? Welcome to Section 5, the Interactive Viewer Taste Test Arena. This is where we score the heavy evaluative marks through brutal critical analysis. Look at the Michelin dashboard on your screen right now. Top-scoring candidates do not just passively extract data. They don't just describe what is happening. They demonstrate fierce evaluative thinking. You have to actively question the assumptions provided in the raw text. You have to pivot and consider different perspectives. How does the data security breach look to the internal auditor versus the external stakeholder? You must interpret the complex relationships between data points. But above all, the ultimate rule of the kitchen is this. You must justify your decisions with hard, undeniable evidence pulled directly from the provided texts and tables. You don't just say a firewall is good. You prove exactly why this specific business needs it based on their specific vulnerabilities. A massive component of hitting that perfect score involves comparative analysis. When you are doing comparative analysis in a data security question, you must identify both the similarities and the differences. But here is where the real magic happens. You cannot just list them side by side like a boring grocery list. You have to actively use comparative connectives to draw hard, evidence-based conclusions about their relative importance. Why does this one specific difference in data access protocols matter more than another difference in the context of this specific business? Answering that why is what maxes out your assessment objective dials to a perfect 100%. It's about balancing the flavors and proving why one ingredient dominates the dish. We have completely reconstructed this response from the ground up today. We took a raw, sour, unlinked descriptive paragraph and we cooked it into a perfectly balanced, high-scoring block of evaluative text. Let's head to the pass line and review our checklist in Section 6, Final Exam Takeaways. These are the three universal, undeniable rules of the grade makeover kitchen. First, the prep. Actively hunt for those method marks by rigorously applying the 6-step procedural sequence we outlined. Make your process visible to the examiner. Second, the ingredients. Never ever provide generic, unlinked textbook answers. If it isn't explicitly tied to the specific case study context, throw it in the bin. And third, the plating. Push for those elite, top-tier marks by aggressively evaluating. Compare the similarities, contrast the differences, and always justify your final decisions with cold, hard evidence from the text. When you sit down to revise, visualize this exact kitchen audit. Keep these 3 core strategies burning in your mind the second you flip open that exam paper. I'm leaving you with one final high-pressure question. When you sit down at your desk to practice past papers today, are your answers going to be generic, or are they going to be perfectly linked to the context? Are you going to be an Alex, dumping raw definitions, or a Sam, rushing the presentation, or are you going to step up, control the heat, and deliver a perfectly evaluated, context-driven masterpiece? The choice you make right now determines your final grade. Subscribe to Ace the Exams right now at Ace the Exams. Click that notification bell for your weekly grade masterclasses and drop a comment below sharing exactly which Cambridge subject and level, whether it's IGCSE, O-level, AS, or A-level, you are preparing to absolutely conquer next. Now get out of my kitchen and go crush those past papers.